Some say that the winds of change in F1 can be swift, material, and of consequence, even as far as Eddie Jordan's concerned. Some say that the gift in having a mind is the ability to change it, and oh, have we seen that today by one Eddie Jordan, legend, former team principal of F1. Lest we forget, not less than 12 months ago, Lewis Carl Davidson Hamilton was having trouble, struggling with the car. Qualifying was not his remit, not any longer at least, roundly getting outperformed by his teammate, his mentee, one King George Russell of Kings Lynn, Norfolk. Then everybody was saying, what's going on with Sir Lewis? I mean, this can't continue. This is a different chap. He's 40 years old soon, and F1 is a young man's game. Then Eddie Jordan on the Formula for Success podcast said this.
Because belief, 99.9% means that there is that tiny little thing in there knocking on your head that gives you the things that maybe, I don't really have that confidence. I don't really have the ability. And at the moment, what I heard from Lewis, I'm not fast enough anymore. They were the words, I think. Honestly, if I was Ferrari, I would say, close the book, find a way out. That's it. I think also, if it's a little message to you, Lewis, if you're out there, always remember in life, you've got your music, you've got your fashion, you've got all sorts of other things. You are, in most people's view, the greatest driver of all time. Please remember what I'm going to say to you. Always think about the best exit. And this is the time to take the money off the table. Go.
Oof. Is that what we're saying, Eddie Jordan? That Lewis Hamilton could no longer be a going concern as form as a F1 driver? Is that what we're really saying? Now listen, to play devil's advocate for a second, that's not to say that Lewis didn't have his travails last year. We know that the symbiosis of this spec of ground effect car in conjunction with these very temperamental, nay mercurial tyres always caused him problems, mistakes ad infinitum, a multitude of them even in Sector 3 during hot laps in the paid session Q3. Yeah, he did all that, didn't he? Absolutely. And that raises questions, and we can make that argument all day and night. But to be so flippant as Eddie Jordan was then, to say that this is now time to wrap it up, that there's no need for Scuderia Ferrari to sign one Sir Lewis Hamilton, even to say that it's worth them, John Elkann, Freddie Vasseur, team principal of Scuderia Ferrari, ripping up Sir Lewis Carl Davidson Hamilton's contract, was churlish and foolhardy. For lest we forget, Lewis Hamilton is and always has been Mr. Unprecedented, breaks and bends all of the rules as far as the oldest truisms in F1 history, because then what happened? This happened.
Are you hiding or are you coming out?
I've been waiting for this day forever, so I'm really happy. I'm excited to meet everybody. Can't wait to start and get going. Oh, that's it. Christmas? Exactly. This is the one.
I mean, we always knew that this symbiosis, the relationship between Ferrari, brand Ferrari, and Sir Lewis Hamilton was always going to be groundbreaking. A rising F1 tide floats all boats, and we've never seen anything like this. I knew that it was coming. No, we knew that it was coming, but this This level of virality and marketing chaos, unheard of. A tail event, a black swan, you could even conceive of it before it happened. That's how big this is. Now, I know that everyone's going to say, listen, the proof will be in the pudding as far as Sir Lewis Hamilton's performance in 2025. And I don't disagree with that. You guys know that I dine at the restaurant of Formula One excellence. He'll need to go and show and prove 100,000%. However, in the moment, in real time, I feel like it's right about time. It's perfect as far as the timing to celebrate what we're seeing, the era of Formula One and Sir Lewis, Carl Davidson, Hamilton, so too Maximilian Verstappen. But in this moment, Lewis, that we're living in, I can't put words to it as good as this dude is. And shout out to Chris Harris on Cars, because his guys explained it beautifully.
I would like to just spend a couple of minutes talking more about how wonderful that photograph actually is, to be honest, because I thought of lots of clever things that I would do, but none of them were as clever as Lewis, because that is just the most magnificent photograph that I've ever seen, frankly, beyond F1. Lewis is one of those special types, a bit like David Beckham in a way, that men love him and women love him, and it's quite hard to be loved by everybody. And actually, if you don't love Lewis Hamilton, then I frankly don't like you, because I just think he's fabulous. And that photograph, of course, I'm biased with the F40. Wise choice of the coolest Ferrari ever built. The 7 windows, I'm sure we all know the reference of that photograph. The 7 windows, the 8th being the door, the angle that picture was taken, the Ferrari flag over the door, the fact that Charles probably went to Selfridges and spent £52,000 to out-cool Lewis in casual sportswear and baggy trousers, and the man rocks up in the most beautiful bespoke suit, the most wonderful shirt and tie combo, the most loveliest overcoat in cashmere, I'm sure, hanging over his shoulders. He just blown Charles out of the water. He's out-cooled Charles without even probably meeting him. And I just think that you can't outbeat Lewis on that photograph. That boy, that man, is so clever about and so tasteful about his image. And as I'm sure, thought very hard about that whole thing. And it's just magnificent. It is the most liked F1 image of all time on Instagram. I'm sure you'll tell us, Manish. And to be even more controversial, he's out-cooled Senna.
I mean, techier than techie things, eh? Out-cooled Senna, potentially. But all that to say that Lewis has done something in conjunction with Ferrari that I'm not sure that we've seen in the last 10, 20 years. Definitely not in F1, and definitely not as far as an F1 superstar's ability to cross over. You'll recall I said at the outset that the winds of change in Formula One are sometimes swift, material, of consequence. That original clip from Eddie Jordan happened last year, the 5th of December 2024. Today, Eddie Jordan and David Coulthard released another podcast, Formula for Success. Go and check it out. On that, Eddie Jordan said this.
But what I thought was unbelievably eye-catching, that photograph of Lewis Hamilton in that coat, it just depicts why I think Ferrari went for him. His box office, absolutely. And please check, I think you will find as close to 6 million likes about the way he looked and his appearance. It's a very stylish photograph. And it'll be iconic. That photograph will be used for many, 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 many years to come, David, because of the way it is. And it depends, of course, how he gets on. But at the same time, I think the photograph will be used. We hear recently about the crash, which is unfortunate because I also saw the photograph of the many, many, many thousands of the Tifosi that turned up to take photographs, wish him well, just on a little reconnaissance trip with the car. So you can imagine what it's going to be like on Grand Prix Day. I think he will be a huge draw. I think he's not just box office for Formula One. I think he's box office everywhere, particularly in the Americas, in Asia. We know about Europe. I'm totally warm to the idea that Ferrari, for all sorts of reasons, particularly commercial, made the right decision.
Hang on a second, EJ. Let me preface everything I'm about to say about EJ here. EJ currently fighting an all-important, the most important battle with cancer. War, EJ. Godspeed, sir. One of the GOATiest in F1 history as far as team principal and pundits. However, EJ, I say all of that to say this, sir. Only a couple of months ago, you were saying that Ferrari might want to rip up the contract, that it's done, that Lewis has got other interest, that he might want to consider, that retirement might be the lot that they gave to Sir Lewis Carl Davidson Hamilton, that the racing gods have now turned their back on him. Only a couple of months later, on the 6th of February 2025, you're saying that it makes sense that Lewis Hamilton isn't just blockbuster, that it makes sense from a performance perspective, that all of a sudden, because Lewis in that pinstripe suit, 6 million on Instagram, rising tide floats all boat settings, virality, the likes of which we've never seen in Formula One, that all of a sudden this makes sense, and you understand now more than ever why Scuderia Ferrari signed one Sir Lewis Carl Davidson Hamilton for a rumoured $100 million per year. Of course it makes sense. The only thing that could make this more perfect as far as the marriage between brand Hamilton and brand Scuderia Ferrari is if Lewis goes out in Australia, season opener, and delivers upon the potential, the unfulfilled promise that was the 8th unprecedented World Drivers' Championship. Oh, the humanity.